friends, trolls, and fellow internet people. Jack Murphy is back. So I'm going to, of course, address this. How could I not? I'm going to start here on Jack Murphy's Twitter. As you can see, down here at the bottom, where my mouse is moving, I am not logged into Twitter because Jack Murphy has blocked me. Who could imagine? I feel like I probably deserve it. But Jack has pinned a tweet that says, I am back. Here's what I learned from the incident and my past. So we're going to get into the article he wrote. But first I want to read through a few of these tweets. So people are saying things like, well done, good to see you in the light of day. Sunlight is the great sanitizer. Soak it in. Proud to stand with you. Here's another that says, God bless you. I really liked this part. If I can prevent even one young man from following my path, if I can help just one man find virtue before he makes the grievous mistakes that will haunt him, all the stupidity I embraced will be worth it. I want to point out here that Jack Murphy was not some changed man over the past couple of years. The documents, and you can go look at them here on my channel, you can find documents talking about from within the liminal order behind the paywall that were leaked to me. They're in my Jack Murphy document review live stream from a couple of months ago. I made videos about them. They are behind a paywall. You cannot access them. They've been deleted from the archives. But they're in those videos. Jack Murphy was encouraging steroid use. He was encouraging strange sexual behavior. He was teaching men about very weird ways to have sub-dom relationships with women. And these are things that this is not him anymore. He's saying, oh, 2 years ago, maybe that was me, or 3 years ago, that was me. Not anymore. That is demonstrably a lie. All of that stuff is on my channel. You can go check it out. I have a playlist called the Jack Murphy LOL Saga. If you're new to this channel, go watch those videos. And I went very in-depth onto what Jack Murphy has been doing. Now look, this is a guy who has been scamming and lying for years and years and years. That doesn't just change overnight like this. This guy was allegedly scamming school districts back in 2015. He's been involved with this liminal order stuff since then, 16, 17, whatever. I found articles from in that whole time period talking about the strange sexual stuff, using steroids, all of that. It's all there. This guy is not changed. He figured out a way to try to use this, and for some reason, it works. Apparently it works. So I'm going to read a couple more of these. He says, the incident may have revealed more about the haters than it did about me. What I do moving forward will be what defines me. To sane, kind, normal people, not my past. And these people are saying, thanks for having the strength to go up through a public challenge. When your incident came to light, I was surprised and a bit amused. But having followed you for a couple years, I could tell you were in the process of change. The haters need to believe no one can change. Good luck. I'm not saying no one can change. I'm saying that Jack Murphy did not change. He says, I'm recording a podcast on Monday and will release it Wednesday. Very excited to be back at the work I love. Thanks for the support. We're going to definitely watch that. I don't know if it's going to be interesting enough to play on a live stream, but I'm watching it. And dude, Jack Murphy is a fucking liar, and he's just trying to pretend that none of this ever happened. Here we go to this article. This is his article called, and this is from the Liminal Order website. This is real, I promise. It says, I'm back. What I learned from the incident and my past. And he published this 2 days ago, March 4th. By the way, shout out to Liminal Order for sending me this. Hopefully I'm going to have him on tomorrow to talk about this on the live stream. So make sure you tune into that. I'm back. So we're going to read through this article. I am a seeker. I have always been looking for the truth, and I've always done my best to move toward the truth in as authentic way as I know how. Where to begin? I'm gonna have to read through this fairly quickly, or this video is gonna end up being 2 hours long. But nobody's got time for that. But this is not true. This is demonstrably not true. Go back and look through, again, if you've been following this channel for a while, you know I have given plenty of evidence to prove that none of this is true at all. But the one thing that stands out to me is that this guy was accused and fired for embezzling millions of dollars. So he's not always been a truth seeker. That's one specific instance. By the way, have I introduced you guys to my shadow? I have a shadow now. I set up a lamp because my light bulb burned out and I didn't have a chance to go get a new one. Anyways, shadow, audience, shadow. But yeah, so this guy, there's so many examples of this, but please go watch my Jack Murphy Lowell Saga playlist of videos and you will understand. Okay, he says, my life has been a study in moving from darkness to light. I wrote about this in my book, Democrat to Deplorable. That transition wasn't purely political, but also mental, emotional, relational, and spiritual. Wait, when was Democrat to Deplorable written? Because I'm pretty sure a lot of his wacky sex stuff, that came after Democrat to Deplorable. What year was that? 2018. Yeah, there's stuff from 2019 and so on of all of this weird stuff. He's disagree. That's a lie. Let's see. The transition was okay. We read that. As I went from Democrat to Deplorable, I also went from the manosphere to the Americosphere. And you brought along a whole lot of your manospheres, just bullshit with you, but whatever. From hedonism to service to others. Okay, yeah, the hedonism thing, absolute nonsense. What he's describing as hedonism is exactly what he was still doing, and he was hoping no one would ever find out about. And when people did, he panicked, he blocked everyone, and he lied about it. The dude is a fucking liar. He mischaracterized Sydney Watson's interaction with him when he was on Timcast, during her show, when he came on Timcast to explain himself. He lied about his past a lot. I have an old interview between him and Tim Pool that's on my channel, on that playlist, where it's clear that he's an absolute liar. There's so much stuff. I have exposed this guy as far as I can. Go through those live streams, go through those videos. You will see this is just absolute lies. He said, from libertarian values to traditional virtues, from subjective secularism to objective truth. Again, traditional virtues. That's an absolute fucking lie. None of this is real. That entire first paragraph was just not true. Anyone who still supports this guy is absolutely crazy. People told me that the pursuit of happiness meant doing whatever you wanted. Objective truths were hidden from me growing up in a democratic family. That's interesting. He used to say that, I have an article by him saying how traditional his family was, and they were like, you only have sex when you're in love, and he had to break away from the shackles of traditionalism in order to experience sexually what he really needed. Go look it up. It's there. This is totally just 100% lies. Growing up liberal, growing up in a progressive environment, freedom meant you could thumb your nose at anyone trying to warn you to stop doing something that might harm you. Again, a lie. Go read the last video I made of his about a new article surfacing, or I made about him. It was about this new, well, wait. I did one about an audio, and then before that was the one about an article surfacing. And he was just saying his family was too restrictive. They were too conservative, and he had to free himself from those shackles in order to really be himself. And by that, he meant sexually liberate himself so he could go have these twisted sexual relationships. And yeah, so lies again. It was pursuing your happiness, doing your own thing, no matter what that thing was. It took me decades of being a proactive, engaged adult learner to figure out that that wasn't the case. I learned that our country was built upon people who didn't believe you should do... Okay, bullshit. It's not decades. It could not have been decades because... How long ago was 2019? 4 decades? No, it was 3 years ago. That's when a lot of this stuff was still happening. He was still writing these things. I believe that last article that I wrote was from 2017 or 2019, but either way, not decades ago, dude. You are lying. And in that article, it talks about how much you despise those conservative sexual values that your family had, and you just wanted to go do whatever and be yourself. So no, not gonna let you get away with that. I learned that the Founding Fathers encouraged us to act in harmony with virtues and excellence of Aristotle and the morals of religion, specifically Christianity. Yeah, if it took you decades of figuring that out, it was you didn't figure that out since 2019. So I'm gonna call bullshit. I'm going to call bullshit because in 2019, you were writing things about that go 100% against the morals of religion, and specifically Christianity. And so it couldn't have been a decades-long journey unless you're trying to claim that, 3 years ago, during this decades-long journey, you had learned absolutely nothing and all of the processing of your learning happened in the last 3 years, which is nonsense. That's not how it works. And again, it's a lie. You're just trying to make yourself appeal again to your very conservative audience. That's all you're doing. He says, 3 years ago, I did some things I'm no longer proud of. Again, I've always been in a trajectory of trying to find the truth, taking me a long time, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, no, he says, 3 years ago, I did things I'm no longer proud of. But then right here, he says, took decades of being a learner to learn it wasn't the case. No, that's not, you didn't backload all the processing of all that learning you were doing for decades. That's not how that works. Your life wasn't changing slowly in increments. Your life didn't change at all. And then when you realize that all of your money is gone and your audience is leaving you, then you came back to it. That's what happened. And you know that. You know that's true. The catch was they were acceptable in the context of my belief system at the time. I used to believe that consent between and among all parties involved was enough. This is humanism. No, you can't say that because you just said up here that the Founding Fathers encouraged us to act in harmony, virtues of Aristotle, morals of religion, and is decades long. So unless you just completely disregarded that up until the past 3 years, this is a lie. And this is within the same article. This is within 2 paragraphs of each other. You're contradicting yourself. You are a fucking liar, Jack Murphy. He says, things which disgust me today. The catch was they were acceptable in the context of my belief system. Blah, blah, blah. All desires are equally valid and moral. That's absolutely what you believed. That means if you enter a consensual relationship or a consensual engagement, that's enough. It contains justification for your behavior. You still believe that. You absolutely did not change your mind. You ran out of money, Jack Murphy. That's what happened. You ran out of money, and then you decided you needed to appeal back to your conservative audience by just, I'm a changed man. No, you're not a changed man. You're exactly who you were. There's no change. Now, I realize that consent is still required, but it's not enough. Consent is not enough to mediate society, because people can consent to terrible things. That does not make all these things acceptable. I thought that as long as I did that, I did what I wanted without direct damage to others, it was okay. It was my life after all, but I learned consent cannot make bad into good all by itself. What you say there isn't objectionable, but I don't believe you. All you're doing is saying these things to appeal to your conservative Christian audience. They should not believe you. Your actions just demonstrate to me that you're a liar and you're going to say whatever is going to happen. And by the way, I've already demonstrated so many lies in this article and contradictions that anyone who believes this, once again, you're crazy. You should not believe anything this guy says. He says, after that realization, I began to explore what else needs to come along with that consent. If consent is not sufficient to determine good and bad, consent is not the totality, then what is? What about common good? What about the action you're consenting to? What does the action you're consenting to mean for everyone else involved in other ways, like your parents and your children? The common good is not... common good is not... What? Oh, it's a typo. The common good is not to be enforced through law, but perhaps through social mediation, through cultural mediation, or the law of fashion and opinion. We should do what is good so that our world is good for others. Well, that's what law purports to do. But anyways, yeah, again, not objectionable. You're just a liar, and you're just saying this to appeal to an audience because you want money. I am fully convinced that that's your motivation here. He says, in the last few years, I've been offering the amazing opportunity of one-on-one education with some of the greatest scholars and spiritualists and political philosophers in the world. Oh my God, it's an advertisement, and just an advertisement for his YouTube channel. My connections over the last 3 years led me through a cycle of awakening. With that came a rejection of humanistic relative morality and an embrace of objective good. I've had an amazingly accelerated, dedicated, professionally tutored educational response that has brought me from one position 3 years ago of consent is all to a new position today where I reject some of the things I used to embrace. What's crazy is that he espoused the position of consent is good enough and the position of non-traditional morality, I guess, when he went on Tim Pool and defended the idea of, 15-year-old women consenting to, or girls, I should say, consenting to relationships with 40-year-old men. And yes, that clip is on my channel too. All of the things that I'm saying here, I'm not, when it comes to like proving all of this, I've already done it. Go watch the Lol Saga playlist and you will find all the evidence you need. I'll give examples as I can, but Jesus, there's just so much. But anyways, yeah, he does not believe what he's saying. When you've, as recently as less than a year ago, sat there, first of all, lied on Tim Pool, had a meltdown on whatever the You Are Here or whatever it is, and defended the idea of 40-year-old men and 15-year-old women engaging in relationships just because, they're old enough, they're grown, in your words. In your words. I don't believe that. In your words. Then you haven't changed, bro. This hasn't been 3 years ago. This has been a year ago or 6 months ago or still. And I believe that it's still. He says, what have I found in this new way of thinking? There is virtue, specifically. Those virtues contained within our definition of masculinity: to build, to create, to provide, protect, to instruct. Okay, this is still bullshit because all of those videos, and these are videos that have been wiped from the internet. You can't even find them in the archive. But I know multiple people who have them backed up on hardware. And I can't show them because they're porn. Come from like 2019, 3 years ago. This dude is sitting there like out on making a video of himself like walking around on a deck jerking off. He's making a video of himself like laying there with his wife, like just talking about how much he likes to fuck college boys. Like, this dude hasn't been on some decades long journey. This dude saw money. Like his, when in a cartoon, like the little eyes turn into dollar signs and then they just like go crazy. That's what's going on here. He sees that the conservative grift is profitable and he's doing it. He could not give a fuck less about any of these principles that he's talking about. He's very glib. He has like a basic knowledge of philosophy, enough to confuse the average person and make them think that he's educated in any of these matters. I mean, the dude is educated, but like not in these matters. He's very shallow and he's just a liar and a grifter. Like, good God. Let's see. Originally, masculinity, according to Aristotle, was about being a good man, to be part of the good polis that you create together, which is something that I've talked about before. Then came Machiavelli, who said that it was actually just about glory. Well, that's insufficient. Then Hobbes and Locke said masculinity is about survival and property. Well, that's insufficient as well. And then you get to modern life, where the identity is the only truth, and masculinity is an angry rejection of postmodernity. No, masculinity is not just about tearing down the world because you can, just because you want to exert your will. Go read his articles about using steroids and being a pickup artist. Go read those and then tell me you believe anything he says about masculinity. A single thing. And I'm going to remind you again that on the Jack Murphy File Dump live stream that I did, and a bunch of the other videos, I can't even remember because this was like the thing where I really started making videos on YouTube, was like what the fuck is going on with Jack Murphy. There is so much that tells you this guy cannot be a masculinity guru. He's not an alpha, never been an alpha, blah, blah, blah. This right here, talking about masculinity, founding liminal order, running the liminal order. Listen to this. Some have said that me running the liminal order is the height of hypocrisy. They mistakenly believe that I continue to do these actions up to the very day my sins came to light. I believe you did, and I believe you still do. I was finding things still, like that sound bite that I put out from SoundCloud. When was that from? That was 2019. You were still, like, while liminal order was happening, you were still doing this shit. And go read the article he wrote about steroids. Go look at all those things. He is still, like, he is still doing this. There's no way he's not still doing this. He's saying, I wanted to teach other men to avoid the traps of hedonism I'd fallen into. Bullshit. Those articles and those message boards, everything that we found, everything, the videos, the chatterbait stuff, the pornos, just all of it. This dude was still into that, and he was teaching other dudes to do it too. They have a really weird cult-like process, and I outlined this in one of those live streams. a weird cult-like process whereby they interview you all the time before they give you access to anything, and they vet it so hard because they don't want anybody to see what they're actually doing. And this may not be a really big deal, but like in the grand scheme of things, but for the people that are being hurt by this, so members of the Liminal Order or anybody who follows Jack, who are, I shouldn't say hurt, misled is a better word. This is extremely important. And he's just like, blah, blah, my biggest mistake was not coming clean about my past. Yeah, it absolutely was. No, you would have never had a following if you came clean about your past. No one would believe that you changed because of the shit that you have done and the things that you're still doing. Like, once I got my hands on those, the file dump, there's nothing you could ever say to convince me that you've actually changed. I have seen all of that stuff, and you're a very scheming, evil person. You're only after money. Let's see. He says, people have called me many things. Hypocrite, grifter, yes and yes. FBI plant, who the fuck knows. Mossad asset, I don't care. Spy ring leader, I doubt it. They've invented fanciful stories about my escapades. No, you have done fanciful, weird shit. No one's inventing these stories about your escapades. You did them. Dude, you waited on the steps of your apartment for your wife to get home from cuckolding you, and then you peed on her outside. You fucking made videos on Chatterbait talking about how much you like to fuck college boys. Like, you have done these things. You have done these things. He said, some have used this as an excuse to tear down the work I've done helping men. I don't believe you've helped anybody. If you have, good, but you're a liar. You are a liar. The good that you may have done by helping anybody is completely counterbalanced by the lies that you told, the people that you disenfranchised forever, and the confidence that you hurt in men who actually believed you. And so, here, criticism has fallen unfairly on my brothers in the Liminal Order. Men have been mocked for associating with me, as they should, because you're a grifter. And people have wondered what it means to be a member of the Liminal Order when the founder has secrets like these. Yeah, as they should. And then blah, blah, blah. He's just complaining about it. Let me address the men and that group. Those men and that group, so the world knows the truth. He says the Liminal Order is not, never has been a Jack Murphy fan club. Bullshit. It is a Jack Murphy fan club. And go watch the live stream about the Jack Murphy file dump. It is absolutely a Jack Murphy fan club. Just go check it out. He says the Liminal Order has 3 core values: masculinity, brotherhood, and sovereignty, none of which say Jack Murphy is God. No, but they sure as fuck act like he's God. And you can go look at the whole interviewing process. It's centered around, does Jack Murphy believe I'm worthy? That's what it is. You're providing your stamp of approval for young men, and that's the only thing that matters. He says, as for myself, I know that I'm not the perfect man. Oh my good God. So he's sitting here just like, he's trying to be I'm not perfect, I've made mistakes, but here I am, I'm acknowledging it, and guys, I'll do better. Like, that's what he's doing, and he is a liar. He's doing this because he ran out of money. That's what happened. The dude needs more views. The dude needs more clicks. The dude needs more members of his Liminal Order. That's all it is. And now he's just blah, blah, blah. Just this is like an enormous circle jerk, just like saying, if you look at all the great conversion stories in history, they're only memorable because of how drastic the change was. I think about Saul converting to Paul. Yeah, fuck you. You're sitting here like, I'm Saul converted to Paul. Like, no, you're not. No, you're not. You're a slanderous little scumfuck who got caught grifting. That's pretty much what you are. He says, this is not me placing myself on par with the greats of history. I don't expect anyone to say, hey, look, there's St. Paul, Joe Rogan, and Jack Murphy. The fact that you would even come up with that concept in your head tells me everything I need to know about how much of a narcissist you are. 1,000,000%. Good God. And now he's like, why do people listen to Joe Rogan? Why do they relate to Paul's writings? It's not just because they're experts. It's because they were normal men with a normal perspective. Yeah, but you're not. See? You're not. You're a guy who embezzled millions of dollars and got fired from your job for it. You're a guy who grifted on a whole bunch of people by selling a fake masculinity. You're a guy who encourages steroid use. You're a guy who encourages violent sex. You're a guy who encourages treating women as if they're subpar, especially during sexual relationships. That's what you do. I can prove everything that I just said. It's all on my channel, all in videos already. It's there. You are a liar. Oh my God. The rest of this, I just don't really care. He's just like sitting here talking about how much of a great person he is. He's like, I wouldn't go back if I could. My past reveals everything that I've warned about is true, blah, blah, blah. Oh my God. It's so narcissistic. He's just like, everything that I did had to happen in order for me to be here. It's like, it's either 100% true or he's a liar. There's not like some is true and some is not. This dude has either had like a great conversion that happened like over 10 years or plus, because he said decades of him like studying shit, or it just didn't happen at all and he's just saying what he's got to say to keep his audience, and that is what he's doing. And he says my bad choices from 3 years ago, as if the way that he's framed this is like he did one or two things. It's like, no, for the entirety of your life, like your professional, like public life, you have been doing things like this. It's just that you realize the Democrat to deplorable story is something that pulls in an audience, and you realized how much money you could make off of that. That's what happened. Your entire life, you were doing these things. When you published Democrat to Deplorable, you were still doing these things. You were still writing about these things. You were still bragging about these things. All of that was still going on. When you were on Tim Pool's show arguing that 15-year-old girls should be able to have sexual relationships with 40-year-old men, you were still doing this stuff. You are a liar. Blah, blah, blah. And okay, now here is the kicker. He says, frankly, if anyone rejects the ability to be redeemed, they are rejecting Christian morality and the Americans, not only Christian, what? No, this is terrible grammar. Frankly, this is what it says. Frankly, if anyone rejects the ability to be redeemed, they are rejecting Christian morality, but the American spirit, it should be and the American spirit as well, but the American spirit as well. That's not to say I'm synonymous with Christian faith. What he has done there is said, you have to accept that I've changed, or you're a bad person. You reject Christianity. You reject the American spirit. No, it's not rejecting Christian morality. It's not rejecting the American spirit. And we're not rejecting the ability to be redeemed. We're saying you haven't been redeemed. We're saying you are still the same scumfuck that you were 3 years ago. That's it. You still are. Now you're going to be a lot more careful about it because you've been exposed, but you're still that same person. And then he says, who am I now? Jack Murphy, a man who was once a libertine fool but embraced virtue. Jack Murphy, a seeker who will learn more about morality until the day I die. Jack Murphy, a companion for people who believe they're too broken to be redeemed. Jack Murphy, a living example of God's grace and the American spirit. It's like, gag me. I will throw up. Like, you're so full of shit, Jack Murphy. It just, ugh. And he says, the Jack Murphy of 3 years ago is dead. The Jack Murphy of 3 months ago is dead too. From here on out, I will be the Jack Murphy who acknowledges the past so I can encourage those with a painful past of their own. Look, and that's pretty much it. But look, I am not saying that people can't change. I hope, for the sake of Jack Murphy, that he has changed. I don't believe that he has. I'll never believe that he has unless he goes like the rest of his life without doing anything ridiculous. And even then, I would be much more willing to believe that he's just hiding it better. The amount of exposing this guy's ridiculousness that I've done on this channel has, like, I've seen, I've watched, I've read way too much about this guy. I hate this guy in kind of a I don't know, a proxy type of way, because like I'm hating him for other people because he's a guy I never had any respect for in the first place, but some people do. And I really hate that he took advantage of that trust to make money and just abused it. But here's this article. I'll link it in the description. You can go take a look at John Goldman's beautiful statement and tell me what you think in the comments. Thumbs up if you liked the video. Subscribe. Follow me on Twitter at SeattleiteJ. And I'll see you guys next time.